Hey, hi friends. This is Varun Goda. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In the previous session, what we learned is pre-training, right? What we learned about pre-training is there was an LLM model which will be trained on, which will be trained on tens and hundreds of TB of data. Here, this tens and hundreds of TBs of data is from different online sources. It can be Wikipedia or online websites, online books, articles, and all. How does this LLM model learns this hundreds and tens and hundreds of TBs of data during the pre-training stage is by updating the model weights or parameters. Once this LLM model trains on this tens and hundreds TBs of data from different online data sources during the pre-training stage, by updating the model weights and the parameters, it should able to generate an output. Your output will be a new content. Let's take an example here. As we discussed in our last session, if you ask this LLM model, Dhoni is the best as an input to this LLM model, this LLM model, after pre-training on this tens and hundreds of TBs of data, by updating the model weights and the parameters, it should able to generate an output as best captain or wicket keeper or best batsman, right? With different probability score, ability score. Correct, right? Here, these all things about this training on huge set of data in the pre-training, and it generates a new output. And these examples we have seen in the last session. Here, I introduce new terminology called model weights or parameters. Correct, right? How does this LLM model learns this huge amount of data during the pre-training stage? By updating the model weights and parameters. Uh, Let me give an example for model weights and parameters. Let me rub this. Let me write this model weights and parameters here. Weights or parameters. Correct, right? Let's take this example. There is an sound or music equipment which will be having a lot of, which will be having this volume control buttons attached to this equipment, and it's also having few connected speakers. As of now, consider this as an example, and this has been connected to this equipment. And there will be a person, there will be an person who is having knowledge about this equipment, and he was able to adjust these buttons values to the optimum or to the best level, so that the speakers or this equipment should generate better quality of music or sound. Correct, right? Here, initially this person comes, these buttons might be having some random value. Let's say this will be having 3, this will be having 4, this will be having 8, this will be having 11, this will be having 5, 6 or 7, something like that. Correct, right? These values are the initial values. These values might not produce better quality of music or a sound initially. Once this person comes and he adjusts these weights to the optimum level, so that this equipment able to generate a better quality of music or sound via the speakers, right? Similarly, when this data fed into the LLM during model training, there will be a matrix. There will be different matrix. All those matrix will be having values. Those are called weights or parameters. Let's consider example of this matrix. Let's say it is 1 cross 12,000 matrix. Correct, right? There will be positive and negative values. Let's say 4.5, 5.67, like that. There will be lot of values depending upon which LLM model you are going to use. Every LLM model will be having different matrix sizes used uh, inside the LLM model for pre-training purpose. Correct, right? Let's consider this is one of the example. Let me write it properly here so that you can. Let's consider example as like it's an 1 cross 5 matrix, which will be having values like 1, -2, -8, 4, and 10. Let's consider these are the initial values before this model start the training. Correct, right? Once this model started the pre-training on this 10 TBs of data, these weights will be updated. As this LLM model learns this data, this initial weights will be updated to the optimum level, so that this LLM model learns this data and able to generate better quality of output. Here also same thing is happening, right? Let's say this person is having a knowledge. The person is having the knowledge. Compare this data. Correct, right? If this person having the knowledge of how to adjust these volume buttons to to produce the better quality of sound or music, so that he adjusts this volume button according to that, so that it can able to generate the better quality of music or sound. Correct, right? Similarly, this tens and hundreds piece of data from the outside world, those are the data which we are going to feed it to the LLM model during the pre-training stage. This LLM model learns this data by updating the model weights or parameters, so that it can able to generate the better quality of output. You got it, right? What I'm saying here? I'm saying here like I'm giving this example so that you can understand what is exactly the model weights or parameters. We'll go in deep about these model weights and parameters in our future sessions in deep. Just I'm giving an basic example so that you can understand the basic what is weights or parameters, how it will helps the model to learn during the pre-training stage. Initially, these weights will be the random values. As the LLM model tries to learn the data, it updates the weight so that it can able to generate the better quality of the content. This is better quality of the output. Correct, right? Let me rub this. Okay, what we learned, now we learned about pre-training and model weights or parameter with basic example, right? Now we got to know about pre-training and basics of Gen A in our previous session, and we learned about model weights or parameters. Correct, right? Now let me take the same example, same LLM model. Now this LLM model is pre-trained, and now this LLM model is pre-trained, and you are asking a question to this LLM model. Tell me a joke. Correct, right? What does this LLM model does? Instead of telling a joke, what this LLM model, which is pre-trained, instead of telling a joke, what does this LLM model does? This LLM model does, it will continues the sentence depending upon what it has learned during the pre-training stage, right? Let's say if you ask, tell me a joke, it might have learned to continue the sentence like, I can't say you the joke now because something. It used to continue the sentence, right? You are asking a question here. You are asking a question or you are giving a requirement to the LLM. Like you want a joke. Tell me a joke for an LLM model. But instead of what you're expecting, like getting a joke from the LLM model, it's just tries to continue the sentence. Like I can't tell you a joke now because something like that. Why? Because this LLM model is a base model, because base LLM model this base LLM model is only pre-trained. Only it has the ability to generate the content. Whatever you give, it tries to predict or it tries to generate the next few words or whatever the extent you have mentioned, right? You when you do the coding, you can mention what is the output size, like how many tokens or words. I will go depth about words and tokens in the next session. Let's consider let's say the maximum content says which can generate, you given answer 10. It should able to generate next 10 words. Correct, right? This LLM model is only pre-trained so that it can only generate the content. It not having any idea you are asking a question or not, it will only take the input sentence and tries to generate the next words. Correct, right? What we have to do to get an answer, let's say if you again ask a question, tell me a joke to this LLM model, you want an output as joke. Correct, right? This is the input, this is the output. You want a joke. You can take the same LLM base model. What you have to do? You have to do fine tuning. What does this fine tuning means here? Fine tuning means, let's take an example here. Fine tuning means you have some 100K or more good quality of question and answer kind of data. Here you have some huge amount of or 100K or more good quality of question and answer data. What you gonna do? You gonna fine tune this LLM model. You're gonna fine tune this LLM model on this 100K or more good quality of question and answer data, so that this base LLM model learns to behave as chart or instruct model. After pre-training, again you are giving some kind of data to the LLM model. It starts to learn this data and learns to behave as a chart or instruct model, right? This is also the way you're trying the model, but you are just fine-tuning it. In the sense, you already have the model which has learned that tens and hundreds of TBs of data during the pre-training stage and updated this model weights or parameters, right? I said this model weights and parameters. Correct, right? It can be anything 1, 2, 5, -9, 11, something like that. During the pre-training stage itself, this model has learned those hundreds TBs of data during the pre-training stage. How does it learn? It learns by updating the model weights or parameters to the optimum, to the best or optimum level, so that it can able to generate good quality of output, right? That model is a base model. If you give a sentence, it just try to continue the sentence. Now you fine tune the model. In the sense, you are fine tuning these weights so that this base model behaves as a chart or instruct model to behave as a chart or instruct model, right? So the name is called fine tuning. We are fine tuning the model weights and parameters here again after the pre-training. You got it, right? Okay, let me rub the board. Now, what we learned? We learned about pre-training and fine tuning, and we learned about base model and the base model and the base model and the chart or instruct model, right? And we learned about weights or parameter, weights or parameter with example. With example, right? These two techniques, we are updating the model weights and or the parameters, right? These two techniques involves these two techniques involves some effort and money, right? Usually this pre-training stage wants wants more effort and money compared to fine tuning, because fine tuning is we are doing on bit less data and it's bit less expensive and need bit less effort compared to the pre-training, because pre-training is an extensive process that wants more effort and more money. Fine tuning also needs some effort and some money, correct, right? uh, let's take this example. Let's take one example. You are working in a startup and you have one product and you have one product that has been used by 100 customers. These customers comes up with different questions while using this product, and your support team will keep on answering the answering the answering the questions, and they have collected this as an document, question answer kind of document. The questions come from the customer on this product, and what is the answer your support team has been given to them. Now the startup CEO or CTO comes and he want to replace the support team with an chatbot, so that if this customers comes and ask any questions or new customer onboarded comes and ask any question, this chatbot should be able to answer. This is what the requirement is. Now, what is the requirement? You have a lot of data that has been already answered by your support team to the queries asked by the customers before. You have collected all this data as a document. Now your CEO or CTO wants to replace the support team with a chatbot. How can you achieve this? Using LLM, large language model. Okay, you got about the use case, right? Let me rub this. Now we have this document of question and answer, and you have LLM as well, LLM model as well. The one way how can you achieve this, you take the base LLM model, and fine tune this base LLM model on this data, so that when the new customer or the customer asks question, this LLM model should able to give an answer. But as I said, it's a startup, they can't afford that much money or effort for fine tuning. They can't put that much effort and money, because if you fine tune this model on these documents of questions answer, of course this model weight should be get updated, right? Weights updated, right? For updating a weights, we should have uh, the necessary compute, usually GPU 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 clusters, right? And it needs effort as well from the resources of the employees who is working in that company. If the startup can't able to put that much effort and the money, how can we make this document, answer from these documents to be answered by this LLM model? The new questions comes, this LLM model should have some knowledge of this document while answering, without fine tuning this LLM model. For that, there is a technique called RAG, retrieval augmented generation. Okay, we'll talk about RAG in our next session. In this session, what we have discussed, we discussed about pre-training and the fine-tuning. Both needs a lot of compute and the resources and need effort. But fine-tuning is bit, it needs bit less effort and the compute and the money compared to pre-training, but still needs this some effort and the compute. All the companies can't able to afford. And we learned about base model and the chart model, what is the difference between these two, and we learned about model weights and parameters with example, and how important this model weights or parameters when the model training is going to happen. And uh, we, uh, we took one use case, like there will be a document of question answers that has been answered by the support team for the customers of their product, and they have collected this data. Now the CEO or CTO of that startup wants to replace the team with the chatbot that has been using the LLM. The one way is to do is by fine tuning the model, but as I said, this fine tuning also needs some effort and the money. So our CEO or CTO doesn't want to put that much effort or money while developing this chatbot. Correct, right? What is the another way to make this LLM model to have some context from this document so that it can give an answer to the customers? How we can make that without updating the model weights or parameters? By using a technique called RAG, called retrieval augmented generation. On this topic, we will on this topic RAG, we will discuss in the next session. Okay, I hope you understand this session. If you like the content, please subscribe to my channel so that it motivates me and it helps me to upload more content. Thank you.